Welcome everybody for being here today. On behalf of everyone on the team that's putting this all together, we want to thank all of our District 5870 Rotarians for joining us today. But we'd also like to extend a warm welcome to all of our fellow Rotarians joining us today from other districts in our zone and from other states and around the world. I'm seeing people from all over the place, so it's really cool. Thank you for being here today. We especially want to extend our gratitude to RI Director Johrita Solari and RI Director-elect, our very own Suzi Howe from Texas. So we want to thank y'all for being on here as well. It's really great to see everybody. During this call, we want to, and we're going to introduce our special guest in a minute. So I'm going to have a special thank you and welcome to her. We want to make sure everybody's muted during this call. So if you want to look on the bottom left and make sure that you're muted throughout the call, Amber can control this, but just in case something happens, go ahead and make sure you're muted at all times. You're also being recorded. So just make sure that your background and anything you're doing, you are.
Patrick, you just muted yourself.
Yeah, she just muted me. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. We may encounter some internet issues. So if that occurs, there are 1 million people on Zoom and on internet all over the country. So bear with us. We're going to fix it and we'll get right back to the program. So don't hang up. Just bear with us and we'll deal with it. We are also requesting that everyone stops their video when the presentation begins. It helps with bandwidth as well as storage space when we record. So as soon as the presentation begins, Amber, are you going to push that, or we'll ask everybody to go ahead and push stop video? If you see your video on, please go ahead and make sure you stop the video so that we have full bandwidth during our presentation. And then after the Q&A, Amber's going to open the videos back up. Everybody's going to be on camera, and we're going to give a round of applause and a thank you to our special guest after the presentation. So be ready for that. If you have any questions during any time during this episode at all, please go to the chat section and mark clearly the question and who it's for. Amber and I will be moderating the Q&A throughout, moderating the questions for Q&A throughout this program. If you have any technical issues or anything, just mark Amber in big capital letters and she'll get to you on the chat, okay? The agenda today is awesome. Today it's a real honor for our district and for all of us to have one of my favorite Rotarians in the world and a dear friend, Jennifer Jones. She was past Rotary International Vice President and she's current Rotary Foundation Trustee. And it's really an awesome time for us to have you. It's a really important time. And I know that you're going to give us some really great inspiration and some information. So we look forward to hearing from you in just a minute. And with that, we are excited. So I'm going to give it over to District Governor Jim Henry for what he would like to say. Jim?
Well, thank you, Patrick. And I too want to extend a warm welcome to everybody here, especially the district, the Rotarians in District 5870. Without y'all, this wouldn't be possible, and what we do would not be possible at all. But I also want to give a big shout out to a lot of my district governor classmates who have joined us, not only from our zone, but from throughout the country. Thank you guys and girls for showing up, and let me know when you have yours and I'll return the favor. There's a couple of special guests I also want to mention. Patrick kind of did, but I want to especially welcome back this week Ms. Helen Reisler, who was our speaker last week and did such a wonderful job. Helen, thank you so much for being here. Helen is with the Rotary Club of New York City, and you all know about her. And I also want to welcome Andreas, who's the Executive Director, Executive Secretary of the Rotary Club of New York City, who was with us also last week. Andreas, thank you so much. And again, Patrick has welcomed them, but I want to send a personal welcome to Rotary International Director from zones 26, 27, Ms. Johrita Solari, who is joining us all the way from California. You guys, we all know Johrita real well. She was at our district conference last year. She's been at our Multi-District Training Institute in Austin, so a good friend of our district. And also I want to welcome our Rotary International, our zone director-elect, Ms. Suzi Howe, who is joining us all the way down the interstate from Interstate 45 from Houston. Thank you, Suzi, for joining us. And I am so honored that everybody is here. And we're so honored and privileged today to have such a wonderful speaker in Jennifer Jones. Patrick's already told you a little bit about her. If I tried to list all of Jennifer's accomplishments in Rotary and in other parts of her life, we wouldn't get off of here till about 5:30. So they're much, much too long for me to even talk about here. But in addition to what Patrick told you, I do want to say that, that Jennifer is joining us all the way from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. She is a member of the Rotary Club of Windsor Roseland, and she is the president and CEO of Media Street Productions, which is an award-winning television production company. But more importantly than anything, Jennifer is an amazing humanitarian, a wonderful Rotarian, and a good friend of District 5870. So you've heard enough from me. So Jennifer, the stage is all yours. And again, if everybody remember to stop their video so we can get the bandwidth. So Jennifer, tell us all about it.
Governor Jim, thank you so much for the really kind welcome, and what a joy it is to be with you all tonight, this afternoon, tonight, I guess, wherever you are in the world. I have so many friends that I'm looking at this screen, and so many cool people that I consider not only to be friends, but kind of my extended family, and being able to spend the next hour with you guys is really actually a real treat. And so I'm hoping that I've got some things that I want to share with you, some exciting things, and then I'm hoping that we can get into more of a dialogue and have some interactive experience, because that would, I think, be a nice feature to the call, to be able to hear what you guys have to say and be able to share any other information that I can. So, you know, it's really amazing that, you know, when President Mark came up with the theme prior to this year beginning, Rotary Connects the World, I don't know that he ever anticipated that. Well, he could have never anticipated, let's just be candid, that we would be connecting like this. And it has been incredible over the past, I don't know, 35, 40, 45 days to be able to witness districts, clubs, zones, every level of our organization coming together in shared experience. And this is something that, you know, we've talked about wanting to have more of this kind of an experience, but this pandemic, it's kind of moved our cheese, and it's moved it in a way where we are embracing this kind of technology now more than ever. And I don't think we would have quite candidly done it had we not had this kind of experience. No one would have ever wished for or anticipated this kind of experience. But I think there's some silver linings that are coming out of it. And this kind of opportunity for us to all get together and be together is one of those. And so at a time when we're more, you know, supposed to be more disconnected or socially, rather physically distant, we're more connected, I think, probably than we ever have been. And so, as I said, it's a treat to see so many of you on the call tonight. I know that, you know, I've been scrolling through Rotary's Facebook page, and I was doing so last night because I'm doing some research for a big telethon that we're going to have, and I'm going to tell you about that on this call tonight. And one of the things that I came across was a post, and it was something that Rotary had put out for soliciting feedback from people in the field who are medical professionals, Rotarians who are on the front lines. And my goodness, as I started to scroll through it, it was, I don't even know that I came to an end. It was one after another, after another, after another, whether it was a physician, whether it was an ER nurse, whether, you know, whatever role someone was playing, they were all giving their own individual stories of what's going on and how they're dealing with it. Our own members, true heroes right now at this point in time in our history. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit about how it's actually touched my own home. And for many of you, you know that my husband is a family doc. And so in his own personal practice, very quickly, within days, they were able to transit into being able to do online and telemedicine, being able to take calls. Seeing patients has been a very limited proposition, a few babies, a couple of things like that. And however, he's also the medical director for a seniors residence, and it's a 170 bed seniors residence. And so this is where it's really touched us in a pretty incredible way. The patient population there is elderly, the most vulnerable, and of the 170 beds, 45 of them have been tested positive. And so in our city, there's actually, our college has set up a makeshift COVID ward where many of these patients have now been transferred to. And 15 of the staff members have tested positive. So, we've kind of had to go through this whole routine in our life about how does he get in and out of the house? And medical professionals everywhere are dealing with exactly that same kind of thing. We have a whole routine. I won't go into it, but how do I get him in? How do I get, and the luxury of having a spare bedroom and an extra bathroom is something that, has been obviously something that has been, beneficial, but, it couldn't punctuate now more than ever the luxury that we have in our life to be able to have access to something like that. So I'm just super proud of him. I'm super proud of all the people who are working on the front lines to deal with all of this. And, day after day, we're kind of, all watching the news, anticipating, when does this end? When do we get back to normal? And, I honestly don't think, and I don't think it, for most of us, I don't think that normal is something that we think is going to come anytime soon. We all know that a vaccine is a year to a year and a half away. And until we have a vaccine, I don't think we're going to see a new normal. We're going to see something different than perhaps what we're seeing today. But, not sure what that looks like. So anyway, it's an opportunity right now for us to try and figure out what it is that we do. And as Rotarians, as people of action, we've been really busy, and Rotarians around the world have responded like you cannot believe. And I know many of you are active on Facebook and watching day after day and seeing what people are doing in every country across the globe to help their fellow community and fellow men and women in their own community. And it's really quite breathtaking. Everything from supplying PPE to ventilators to food scarcity and security issues, which are huge. And one of the things that, I think quite candidly is a wake-up call for maybe a lot of us, maybe for a lot of people, maybe not Rotarians, but maybe a lot of people in our two countries, is that availability to food vis-a-vis food banks for people who are a paycheck away from not having anything. These are real issues. And, we're not talking about trying to find food for developing countries as much as that needs to be done as well. We're talking about people in the developed world who are struggling and trying to make sure that they can feed their families and pay their bills. So it's tough. It's a really tough time. So as I said, Rotarians have ignited around the world behind all of this. And one of the things that I, along with several others, particularly with the Board of Trustees, which I have the extraordinary privilege of being able to serve, we started looking very quickly within days of all of this imploding in our own area to find out what could we do. And very quickly, we transited $1 million from Rotary's World Fund into our Disaster Relief Fund. And that was intended to take care of grants that were created, $25,000 grants that districts could access to be able to do something in their own community or elsewhere to specifically help with the COVID-19 efforts. Well, I think that we may have gone through 3, maybe 4 business days from announcement to application to money actually in the field, into the hands of Rotarians who were able to use this on the front line. We met several days later. We were able to transit $2 additional million into that fund. And again, spent it within seconds because the need is great. And we've never really considered ourselves to be a disaster relief organization, but we've also never dealt with a global pandemic. And right now, just trying to make sure that we're helping people in the ways that they need it. I mean, how many of you have scrolled through Facebook to see how many different people are making masks and all kinds of seamstresses who are sewing things, and all of the heart that's going into the kind of stuff that we're doing to help people is really nothing short of amazing. Now, so as I said, $25,000 grants. We have 528 districts. If every one of them applied for a grant, we would need $13.2 million to fulfill that order. We don't have a backlog of $13.2 million to be able to just make all of that happen. So we need to get creative. And so a very small but mighty team is assembled what is going to be a really cool thing. A week from tomorrow, on May 2nd, we are going to be hosting a COVID-19 #Rotary Response telethon. It is a live 1-hour telethon that will be held at 10 a.m. Central Time, which for most of you on this call, that is your time zone. 11 a.m. Eastern. And one of the things that is truly mind-boggling about this is it's going to be the first time that we have ever done, first of all, something like this, but we're going to be interpreting in all of our official languages simultaneously, so that everyone who is part of our organization is going to have a respectful experience that speaks specifically to them in their own voice. And that, to me, is the power of connecting the world. And it is going to be brilliant to be able to see this. We have stories that have been filed in from Rotarians in all corners of the world. Every continent will have 1, if not 2 stories where they're telling about what it is that they've done. Every senior leader in our organization has a very special personal message that is going to go out to all of us during the broadcast. It's going to be hosted by our past Rotary International President, Barry Rassin, and his aide during his presidency, past Rotary International Director, John Smarge. And Trustee Julia Phelps and myself are going to be field reporters. We're going to be watching the Facebook live stream. That's how it's going out. You're going to be directed to go to our Rotary International Facebook page, and you can log on and sign on there and watch along. And so Julia and I are going to be bringing you up to speed on how the fundraising is going throughout the course of the hour. We're asking people to tell us, what are their clubs doing? What are you doing as an individual? We're going to challenge you to tell us that. What are you doing as a club? We're also going to be asking clubs to unite behind the fundraising goal. We're looking at trying to raise at least $1 million. We have currently $3 million in grants that are in the queue that need to be fulfilled. And so, my great hope is that we're going to be able to galvanize the people behind this. And, if everybody just gave, I did this math in my head. John Germ, when he was president and I was his VP, we did a Facebook Live, and we had, I don't know whether it was live or it was all just additional views or whatever, but there was about 100,000, I remember at the time. And simple math, everybody gave $10, it's $1 million. And I think that, as people of action, we know that we are the great stewards of our organization. We are doing good work. We're getting into Rotarians' hands, and they're making sure on the front lines that it's being spent to impact people and make sure that their lives are benefited, and in some cases, quite candidly, saved. So one of the things that that has happened, and I'm putting it out there because if it happens on this call, you're more than welcome to do it. But last couple days ago, when I was on a Zoom call with Zones, 30 and 31, Floyd Lancia, who's our director there, people started to weigh in with, well, my club commits this much and my club commits that much. And that's the kind of thing that we need to really try to instill right now. What is it that we can do as clubs, as zones, as individuals, as districts? You know, what is it? And anyway, so there's lots more information, and Governor Jim will be receiving stuff that he can make sure that he gets out to all of you, as well as Director Johrita and Director-elect Suzi. They're going to be able to share a lot of this information with you as well. We're going to be carpeting, quite candidly, Facebook for the next week leading up to this. I'm hopeful that we're going to have tens of thousands of people who are going to be on the call together. And as I said, we have lots of incredible stories that we're going to share, musical entertainment, and messages of hope, inspiration, and gratitude. One of the things, and then I'm going to wrap up because I know that we want to have a chance to be able to talk a little bit more. One of the things that we will also punctuate is that our polio eradication efforts are now more important than ever. And we have had to take a step back, and we've got a moratorium on immunizations for the next 6 months as we pivot into taking care of COVID. But what's incredible is the legacy of what we have created as an organization. Each and every one of us should be proud of this. The public health infrastructure that has been created is nothing short of remarkable. And it is helping. We have been able to transit and pivot those workers in 30 plus countries where this exists, not only to being polio warriors, but now being COVID warriors. And they are helping with frontline efforts, as well as the laboratories that they have. This is something that's making a big difference in helping to shut COVID down in some of these countries. So it's a pretty incredible time to be a Rotarian. And while, as I said, we've had a moratorium on immunizations, we're still doing surveillance, and that is surveillance that is for COVID and for polio right now in the water systems, being able to identify it, being able to see this is where it is and shut it down. So, again, it's part of something that's so much bigger than ourselves, but we all, as Rotarians, I think should feel that this is a very big point of pride in what we're doing to help stop the spread of this virus. Last thought. I think that as we go forward, we're seeing more and more on these calls, people who are not Rotarians, who are friends of Rotary, joining in and seeing the good work that we're doing. It's being amplified call by call, Zoom by Zoom, every other platform that we're using. And I am so heartened that I have been watching new members being inducted on almost every call that we've been on. And that's pretty incredible. And I think right now it's such an opportunity for us to show to the world that we are truly as relevant as we ever have been, and that as people of action, we are doing incredible work in our own communities and beyond. So let me just stop there. I know we want to have time to be able to answer some questions and have some dialogue. So I know that Amber, I think, and Patrick, you're going to be monitoring and bringing that in. So let me turn it back to the two of you.
Well, first of all, thank you. I was zoned out listening to you. I was like in it, and then I'm like, okay, I got to get back on now. It's incredible the work that you guys are doing with the telethon. We're going to spread the word. We're all going to be on there, and I'm going to spread myself personally the word to people outside of Rotary to join as well, to see the integrity of Rotary and to get involved. So thank you for what you're doing, and we're here to help in any way we can on that. This is now going to be a discussion and Q&A. So we'll start with a couple questions that we have, and then we'd love to see people go into the chat section and clearly mark question to Jennifer or to anyone else on the call. So go ahead and start doing that, and we'll be monitoring those questions. But Jennifer, to start, I would love to just hear from you, and I know you've already given us so much, but through your years of being not only a Rotarian, but a leader in Rotary, what are a couple of things that you could tell fellow Rotarians here today? Some inspiration, some tips, some tools that can help them rise above this crisis and make a lasting impact in their community. Because I know it's tough to even sometimes get a Rotary Club to meet right now, let alone make a lasting impact. So could you just give us a couple pointers, tips, story, etc.?
Sure. Great thought. And one of the most simple things and a challenge I'll throw out to everyone who's on the call right now, you know, as we all reflect upon our own club experience, there are folks that are members in our clubs that probably right now are fairly isolated. Folks that, you know, they're not logging on to this virtual reality that we've all created through these different platforms. And it's a great opportunity right now to try to tutor people through being able to be engaged. And I know with my own folks, my mother would be horrified if I was identifying her with a certain age group. But you know, I 3 weeks ago sat with the two of them and went through teaching them exactly how to get on Zoom. They're both in different clubs, and they've been actively engaged since then. And you know, I mean, I know that myself, I'm keeping them in a bubble. They're not allowed to go out. We deliver stuff to them, but we all need to have engagement. We all need to have some sort of connection with other human beings. And so right now, I guess my challenge to all of us is to take a look at whether it's people in your club or whether it's your next door neighbor or whether it's a family member, to make sure that we're reaching out, and just even a phone call, even something to just say that we care at a time when we're holed up and not able to do a whole bunch. It's kind of hard to figure out, how do I make a difference? And if you can make a difference in one person's life like that, that's a big gift. And it's something that we can all do right now. So, you know, I think that as we look around sort of the landscape of our organization, providing service to our community, providing service to our world, but providing, importantly, as our vision statement says, the change within ourselves. You know, we can change our world, we can change our community, but the change, lasting change within ourselves, that's where we're being put to the test right now. And so what does that mean to each and every one of us? And there is no act that is too small. And I guess being able to be compassionate to those around us is something that I think we should all rise to. And yeah, and I'm sure that I'm sure there's many of you on this right now that are doing exactly that, and this resonates exactly with what it is that you're doing. So I give you a hats off and a big thank you.
Hey, Jennifer, it's Amber, and thank you. I love that takeaway for today. And if everybody will just at least take that one piece back to their clubs, all of us on this call are the ones that are able to do it, right? We're all already here. But at your next club meeting, make a roster and see who's not there, and make sure you're calling those people up and inviting them and getting them educated on Zoom so that they can be a part of it as well. And I think that's a great takeaway for today. Thank you. I was going to ask a question. I think we still have some other questions coming in. But while we're waiting for some of those questions, I want to remind everybody, you can add your video back in. We want to see your faces now. So everybody, please add your video back in so we can see you. And remember, you can type in some questions here, and Patrick and I will take turns asking them to Jennifer, or to anybody else on the call. So feel free to open this up a little bit. But I was hoping to see if you had any projects that you've seen that have just blown you away, anywhere in the world, just some cool projects. If there were any ideas, I know we did a whole session on one a couple weeks ago, and it was a really good idea sharing session. So your favorite project?
Sure. I want to touch on that, but I also I'm just following along with the chat room here, and I just want to address a couple of things. First, Peter Scott, who's on the call for 5790, thank you so much. Says here that their district met and they're donating 5,000 plus active encouragement to individuals and clubs. So thank you very much for doing that. You know that we're going to steward that well, those funds. Also, Amy B, she sent this to me privately, but it's a public question. The number of opportunities and resources are a bit overwhelming for new members. How can we best educate them in a virtual world that translates to real service and not just monetary giving? And I think that parlays so nicely Amber, into the question that you asked, like what's a favorite thing? So, you know, in Great Britain, one of the things that we have seen, all of us, if you're watching the news, you're seeing it, the NHS, their medical health system, they have had something like over 800,000 people volunteer to want to help during this pandemic. So right now, what they're doing is they're launching a speaker series next week, and it's called Together Talks. And this will be a regular feature for Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland, and tapping into thought leaders and, this kind of thing. But they are very cognizant, and this is a part of the world where our membership has been dwindling. I hate to say it this way, but because of age, we really haven't backfilled with younger members. And so one of the things that they're saying right now is there is this whole population of people who said loud and clear, we want to be part of doing service in our world. It's not about money. It's about hands-on service. What can we do that gives us the paycheck here? That's a big thing. How do we get that paycheck? And so they're trying to capitalize right now on how do they transit those 800,000 people who want to do good and help their fellow neighbor, their fellow man and women. And, this is a pretty cool thing. So if you want more information on that, I can certainly make sure that you guys get the details. I know that they just launched it literally today. And I know that I'm going to be speaking with them on the first one. I think it's on May 5th is the day of the first talk, but it's going to be Rotarians, non-Rotarians, all kinds of information that is relevant for us to just be good people, good human beings. And anyway, that's one of the favorite things that I've seen as of late. The other thing is that we've all witnessed that, it doesn't matter who you are or what your skill set is. Everybody can do something. And I guess that's kind of, I don't know, maybe that's one of the biggest takeaways out of something like this. There's a lot of conversation that's starting to morph into, at least in my circles, people are talking about the fact that this is horrific that we've had this global pandemic, but we've also had a pause. We've hit a button where we've just said pause. And, we're able to reflect upon what that means. And, in some circumstances for people, it's a horrific situation. For others, it's a matter of looking more carefully at your friends and family. And for others, like me, I'm embracing cooking healthy dinners and walking every day. I'm trying to walk at least an hour a day. And I never have had a rhythm, for the past multiple years where I've been able to dedicate that kind of time to that and just getting out in nature. And so I guess, being able to embrace some of the silver linings that are, potentially out of this is something that's really important, I think, for all of us right now too. And yeah, it's crappy and it's horrific. And it's going to be a while before we get to whatever our new norm is, but there are good things that are coming out of it. And the kindness that we're showing to each other is pretty profound.
Excellent.
A lot of gratitude. And I'll tell you, I was thinking about that last night. I was sitting in the house in Texas, and I was talking to my friends in New York, and they were like, could you imagine being stuck in your apartment in New York for 6 weeks? And I was like, I never even thought of that. And it's just, I'm so grateful for space in a backyard right now. I miss New York, but I'm glad I have space. So gratitude is so important, and self-care is so important so that we can go out into the world and be in the front lines of service.
Yeah.
Make sure we can take care of the needs of our community. So let me ask you a question about, and again, you can't forecast, you're not a fortune teller, but you have experience, your ears to the ground. What is our Rotary year going to look like ahead, in your opinion? Where are we going? Where's the organization? How are they mobilizing? How are they preparing for a year of uncertainty in this amazing organization?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I said that we have never been more relevant than we are right now. And I truly, truly believe that. And I think that it's a clarion call to all that, you know, we are something right now that is a voice of hope, gratitude, as you shared, and inspiration. And I think it's an opportunity for people to want to be part of doing something like that. I would predict, quite candidly, that let's just take a sample Rotary Club that meets a traditional, typical Rotary Club that meets 4 times a week. We get into a place where we're physically able to meet again. I would say that, you know, having online meetings perhaps twice a month, and then getting together for 1 week as a service project and 1 week as a social, I think these would be best new practices. And I think we're going to start to see a lot of these things unfold. There is no reason. We are doing this successfully. We are connecting, we are being together, we're making a difference, and we're providing an opportunity for people to feel part of the bigger picture. Why would we stop that? I think that we need to fully embrace it. I think we need to take it for the bigger ride. We need to figure out how we do this way, how we do it differently. And quite candidly, you know, travel is not going to be something that is going to resume any kind of normalcy in the next several months ahead. And so, you know, from a senior leader perspective, I don't think that, you know, the notion of the president being able to travel the world and visit people right now and for the foreseeable future is something that's positive. But, you know, yesterday, well, every day, multiple times a day, President Mark is meeting with Rotary clubs and having this exact kind of dialogue and talking to them. You know, when you're traveling and, you know, going between countries and airports and stuff like that, there's a lot of time that's taken up doing that, a lot of expense, to be quite candid. Yeah. The ability for us right now to connect as senior leaders with folks in our organization, this is a huge privilege. And so, you know, I think it's one that we're going to see taken advantage of in a good way in the foreseeable future. And I know that President-elect Holger, he's so cute. I got a video clip from him that will be included in the telethon next weekend. And I swear it looks like he set up a great studio. He's got like these beautiful backgrounds with Rotaract all over it, and he's got beautiful lighting, and I'm so proud of him. It's like it's really good. And you know, I suspect that there's going to probably be a lot of meetings that are going to happen over the next several months for him, exactly through this kind of a format. And you know what? That's okay. I think it gives us a chance to be together, be with people, and be really real. And I think that's a huge victory, to be quite candid.
I agree. And I think we're more connected now than we've been before. We might not be in person, but I have been talking to more people and seeing more Rotarians in my life in the last couple of weeks than I have in an entire year, because I'm always, you know, gone. So I also wanted to ask, if you don't mind, Director Johrita, excuse me, we'd love to ask you the same thing. What are you seeing and hearing about the year ahead?
There are actually 2 parts of the year ahead. The end of this Rotary year in the calendar year, and the beginning of this Rotary year in the calendar year. And I'm pleased to tell you that we've been talking about Rotary being nimble. And the board has voted to create a COVID-19 response task force, which will be addressing some real issues very quickly. There won't be travel between now and the end of the year. Senior leaders, staff, all have really, as Jennifer said, started connecting with Rotarians. I have to tell you, I counted the Zoom calls I've been on this month, 49 or 52 calls in 1 month. And that is fabulous. That's fabulous, because I think it's the first time ever that directors and trustees and and presidents-elect have really connected with Rotary clubs, not only in their specific regions, but also all over the world. I have a call for Russia. I have a call for a Russian club meeting in Moscow on Monday. How cool is that?
So cool.
But there are changes. There will be virtual meetings. There will not be face-to-face meetings unless something happens drastically, which we know that's not going to happen. There's time. This is going to take time. So we're all shifting from face-to-face meetings to virtual meetings. Regional leaders will be meeting virtually.
Yeah, I was looking at my
And
stuff.
Kevin
I'm in the Inside Track Club.
how to.
Is that the lowest price, or was it the lower inside?
I'm gonna get Rick. Rick.
Identify who that
Can
is.
you mute yourself,
Kevin,
please? Kevin Stevens, if you can mute yourself, please.
No, got him.
But
Thank you. Go ahead,
let me
Johrita,
turn it
sorry.
back to Jennifer.
What was that?
Back to you, and I just wanted to ask also real quickly, Director-elect Suzi, do you have anything to add to that?
I just echo what Johrita has said. The board meetings this week have been long and tedious, and have kept directors in the far east awake till 3 in the morning. So if we look like we are exhausted, we all are. It's been challenging addressing all of the upcoming issues, and we hope to get those notes out this week. So thank you.
Thank you. Amber, you have some
Jennifer,
questions?
I would like to ask a question, Jennifer, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I'm really excited about your Zoom meeting that's coming, or your telethon that's coming up on May the 2nd. And I know we'll be getting a lot of information, and I know our good friend Christelle from Honduras had in the chat put the Facebook link. Is that going to be somewhere on say the Rotary website, so that for folks like me that are really, really challenged and tend to lose emails and things like that, that when the time comes, we can go to the website and just click and get on?
So, Governor Jim, are you on Facebook?
I am.
Okay, so all you need to do is go to Rotary International's Facebook page. And on that page right now, you can click, I plan to attend or whatever. The link to Facebook Live, which this will be streamed on, is going to launch tomorrow. Today's Friday, yeah, tomorrow, on Saturday, possibly Sunday. You can do it 7 days in advance, so it's one or the other. And that way people can, sign up. You'll get an automatic notation, little heads up that it's about to begin, this kind of thing. But for anybody who hasn't done that, you can just simply go to Rotary's Facebook page, and that's where you're going to see it. We will be streaming. We're using a platform which is, as I said, able to accommodate all of our official languages. And then we're streaming from there into Facebook Live. And I believe that we're going to also stream into a YouTube channel. But Facebook Live, more importantly, because we have this ability to do the interactive thing where people can tell us what they're doing and what, that kind of stuff that is really super important for, somebody might not be able to give anything, but you know what, they can click a heart or a like or make a comment, and that's just as important. We want people to feel that this is something that everybody has an opportunity to play a role in. Rotary, Rotaractors, family of Rotary, non-Rotarians, and we have excitedly notable folks from around the world who are all chipping in right now to either provide us with videos, or they're going to be tweeting the day of to raise public awareness. I'll tell you one that I just think is, and I'm talking world leaders, but one of them that I just think is kind of, I don't know, it's not one that I would have expected, and I think it's kind of cool. But Weird Al Yankovic is going to be tweeting out our event, and apparently he has a huge following, and his band members are very excited about this. And anyway, we've got a Rotarian in California who knows them, and they're just like, what can we do to help Rotary? So that that to me is very cool. Like, so yeah, so stay tuned. There's going to be lots of people making guest appearances on this program. Oh, I can't even go into it. I'm not even going to dangle the carrot. There's a couple that I'm hoping will come through. So we'll see.
Oh, go ahead and dangle. It's okay.
And by the way, everybody, we will keep updating our district website and Facebook page with all of the info of people that are joining on the telethon when we hear it from the Rotary Facebook page. So we'll keep you up to date on both channels. Amber, you have some questions from the audience.
I had one sent to me from Sherry Munoz, and she wanted to know if you could clarify the pause on the polio immunizations for the next 6 months. If surveillance identifies a hot spot, is there a response plan, or is it just in a solid pause for the moment? If you had any clarifying thoughts on that.
So first and foremost, Sherry, love you. Good to see you on the call. I cannot answer that, to be quite candidly, in deep detail. What I have been informed of is basically what I've said, that I know that we need to put the immunizations on hold as we take care of COVID-19 right now. Surveillance is very active, though. That is not stopping. That is something that's very important to make sure that we're identifying where it is in the water system and finding cases in real time so that we're able to stamp it out. Certainly, many of you might recall hearing that when Ebola broke out, it was because in large part of our polio infrastructure that we were able to shut Ebola down globally. And so, you know, this is a big moment right now for our polio infrastructure to be able to do something similar, to play a role. But getting those back on track, it's going to set us back some paces, certainly in case count. But it's going to move us, I think, personally, I think it's going to move us ahead Herculeanly in people understanding that this is a virus that has a vaccine. And right now we don't have one for COVID-19, but we have one for polio. And so we need to get across the finish line while we can, because we're able to do that and stop the dreaded disease. And as we say every time someone speaks, you know, keep our promise to the children of the world. So it's going to take a little bit longer, but you know, I think we couldn't be more galvanized now than ever.
Yeah,
I had one more here from Rick Stacy. He's going to be our district governor next year. And he wanted to know what you see as the biggest headwind as we transition from a COVID to a non-COVID for Rotary specifically. Is there any headwinds you guys are talking about, or is it just all flowers once we get through this?
Well, you know what? Let me actually turn that to Johrita and Suzi, because they are in the middle of just having wrapped up the RI board meeting, and the trustees meet next week. I could share some thoughts, but I mean, I think this would be a great time to hear from them about what they've been talking about, and you know, what are those winds of change? Did any of that come up in the course of the meetings that you guys could share with us? Either one of you.
Well,
I'm gonna let Johrita speak because it's a little premature until we approve the minutes. And I think we just got the notice just now to review and send back. But just let me say, the presidential citation next year should be a piece of cake because we are all so flexible now.
Excellent.
And Suzi's right. We just concluded our meeting today, and I am very excited about the flexibility. You always talk about it's a need for Rotary to be more nimble. We are going to be more nimble. There are a lot of changes that are coming, a lot of response. We recognize that this is a wave we've got to catch, and if we don't, we're going to miss it. And the entire board recognizes that. And there are a lot of things that we're talking about doing and that I can't share right now until we get the final okay. But I'm excited about it, and Suzi, I hope you are too. And as soon as we get the okay, they're going to let the trustees know what we're recommending too. So it's an exciting time to be involved in Rotary. We're walking the talk that we've talked about for the last few years. So it is a great time, and you'll be hearing all about it soon.
Well,
That's awesome.
and let me, Patrick, before you jump in, let me just build upon that, because it's a great thing that they both shared. One of the again big steps forward for our organization in talking about being nimble, being flexible, is the fact that our boards are meeting online, that we're meeting in real time, we're responding to things as they happen. This is nothing that we've ever seen before, and this is a huge step forward. So yes, at the club level we're doing it, at the district level we're doing it, at the zone level, and at the international level. And this is really important because we've never been faced with anything like this before, ever in the history of all of our lives. And you know, there may be some prickly moments where we're moving things along a little faster than maybe some people might want, but you know what, right now that's okay. We need to be showcasing ourselves as one of the most vibrant, relevant, flexible, hip, cool, greatest organizations to be part of. And so I think we're doing that.
If I may, just as an example, the way the trustees responded to the COVID-19 disaster relief grants, turning those $25,000 grants around like that. I mean, they were in the queue at so quick, so fast that $1 million went out in a breath. But they funded it again. It was funded again. And that's why this telethon is so very important, because there is still, what, maybe 100, I think still grants in the queue. 400? Was it 400?
We have about 3 million in the queue right now. So I think that's like 108 or 116.20. So I'm not doing the math in my head right now, but we have a considerable amount, and that's not even half of our districts applying. Right. And so they're going to, you know, we're going to see those come in the days and weeks to come. So I do want to give a shout out, and Jim, Governor Jim, I hope I'm not saying something out of line, because you sent this to me privately on this, but your district has been very generous in giving of your district designated funds and earmarking it for this. So I invite you, if you want to say something about that, you can. If not, I'm just going to tell you, thank you.
It's actually a great lead in. Yeah, go.
Yeah, you're very welcome. We were able to give $25,000 of our DDF to the Disaster Response Fund exclusively for COVID, and would love that to go into the telethon fund if it's possible. And we're working on a district grant for local hospitals, and we hope if we can get the Disaster Response Fund application granted, you add all those together, and our district will be contributing about $110,000 toward the COVID effort. So we appreciate everything y'all have done. I appreciate everything our Rotarians in our district have done. This is your money that we're spending. This is the money that your contributions to the foundation that comes back to our district. This is the money. This is your money, and this shows the good that can be done. In addition to all the other global grants and everything else we do, this just shows how Rotarians stand up and be counted. Somebody told me the other day, don't worry about the things that you can't control. Worry about the things that you can control. And this is something we can control.
That's awesome, Jim. I'm so proud to be a part of not only this district, but the entire Rotary world. We are the #1 service organization on the planet, period. And we are showing that through action. I think there's a couple other questions we can't get to right now. We'll make sure that the answers get to you. But I think this one is relevant from PDG Joe Roth from District 6990, because it's something we've been talking about behind the scenes. And so I'm going to read it to you. And Jennifer, Johrita, Suzi, you can all three jump in here if you want. The economics of Rotary will change. How will this affect membership? And will RI be looking to be more flexible, as well as guidance towards districts to do the same. And I would say even clubs. There's been a lot of questions like, what happens when Rotarians don't have the money to pay their dues? And I immediately jump to the top of the mountain and say, wait a minute, we can't lose these amazing Rotarians just because they're having a hard month or a hard 6 months. So we're trying to figure that out ourselves. Any thoughts on that?
I'm going to ask Johrita to respond first, because you guys probably have talked about this at the board meeting this week. I have opinions, but I could weigh in later.
Well, actually, I've been talking more importantly to all the district governors in zones 26, 27, and they're telling me what they're doing with their clubs. For instance, some clubs in their dues, they have the meals are included. So instead of charging the meals, they're reducing the dues, so it doesn't include the meals. And in one club, actually, they decided that they would take the meal money that they were paying and put it in a fund to go buy food for people that were in need of food. Yeah, it's just so inspirational, as Jennifer said, so inspirational what Rotarians are doing. Districts are putting an impound account aside to be able to help folks with their dues if needed. Right now, all the dues are paid for the Rotary year, all the district dues, we're in zones 26, 27, all the Rotary International dues are paid, but they're looking for after the Rotary year, what's going to happen. So, and then some of them have some of the governors have said they're going to freeze or not charge dues for the first 3 months of the new Rotary year. A lot of innovative and great ideas are happening. So it's really inspiring to see what's happening in the various clubs. You know, we got to credit for the Rotarians in the club, a lot smaller than a lot of us. You know, they have great ideas. And they're doing fabulous things. So I listen to the people in the club where Rotary begins and ends.
Patrick, I want to sneak this one in real quick because I think it's important. I know we're really short on time though, but it looks like Christelle from Honduras had asked a question about if there, and I'm asking this to anybody that might be in the know, but is there a database or a Facebook page or anything that's being created where people can find people that are willing to come present to their clubs online? Is anybody seeing that in other zones? Or Jennifer, are you seeing that? Any kind of database for online presentations? It's such a great time right now to be able to tap into that. I think that's a really good idea.
I personally have not seen an official database, and if Johrita and Suzi have other knowledge of that, you can certainly chime in. However, what I have seen is that we're all available, like, you know, from a senior leader perspective. And, you know, Johrita said 52 meetings in a month. My gosh, that's incredibly amazing, partially insane, but incredibly amazing. And I say that very tongue-in-cheek, laudable. So there is an opportunity right now to, you know, everybody's at home. Every single human being in the world is at home. So I guess my challenge to all of you is, who do you want to hear from? Reach out to them. If you want a Rotary senior leader, you want a Rotary, you know, speaker that you've heard of before. If you don't have the direct contact, reach out to your governor. They can reach out to other people that, or, you know, anybody, you know, in, you know, your coordinators, anybody in your district can help climb through to find an email to somebody, or through Facebook, you can private message people, ask them to be part of something like that. You know, everybody's kind of, I think, in the same boat right now. We're all trying to make sure that we're, you know, spreading the love and talking to people and just, you know, doing this, which is really good.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to let Patrick take over from here, and Jim.
Yep. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you, Jennifer, for all you do. It's so impactful for not only Rotary, but for humanity, as well as Johrita and Suzi. Thank you so much for what you two are doing as well. You are on the front lines of Rotary, and you are making massive change and transformation. And On behalf of all of us, we thank you, and thank you for taking the time today to be with us. It's awesome. We want to talk about next week's episode real quick. We are going to be discussing our district grant. We'll be donating almost $60,000 to PPE to heroes on the front lines. It's going to be an awesome discussion about what that's all about, and all of our good money being used for incredible things. PPE is a need right now, and we are figuring out ways to get it to them. We're also going to have Renee Reeling from the Rotary Foundation staff. She's going to come, I think I said the last name correctly. She's going to be coming in to talk about global grant status and the current status of global grants and district grants and all those details. So it's going to be a good conversation, sort of a continuation of today's conversation on the Rotary Foundation ins and outs, grants, and our district grant to hospital heroes. Again, this is all being recorded. Every episode has been, Helen and Andreas's amazing episode last week is already on the district website. So please encourage your clubs, your Rotarians, even if you're not from our district, please, we'd love to have you come on our district website and listen to the different episodes, share it. We'd love everybody to get the information. We also have a great panel of nonprofits talking about their needs from an episode before that. That's amazing. Amber's going to show her screen real quick of where that is. We also have a living document that is on our district website for all the clubs in our district that are meeting online. So go on there, find out, hey, I've never visited Cameron or Austin Club or Temple. Jump on there, find out when they are, because again, like Jennifer said, we're all at home. So jump on and visit some different clubs in our district. That document is living, so it's constantly being updated. If your clubs is not on that list and you are meeting online, please get the information to us so we can add it immediately, as well as service projects. We're making a list constantly of not only service projects that are going on in the district, but also needs in the community from nonprofit organizations or others. So if you know of anyone that is in need of some service, please get a hold of us. Let's get this information onto the district website. And if there's a service project that your club is doing that really was easy to do or great to do, not only from maybe outside of your home, but from things inside the home. We talked about last week the volunteer corps thing that is going on with Rotary. That's another great thing to look into. Let us know. We'll put it on the district website. And again, we want to thank everybody for being here. We want to thank, Jim, do you have any other words before I wrap up?
I will just say a little bit. Amber, can you go to the homepage of the website? What Patrick was talking about, and what I'm really interested in hearing from everybody, and if you can full screen it maybe, about the service projects. You'll see right at the start on the front page, there's a list of service projects that various clubs are doing right there, service opportunities. That we take a look at that. If you're a club, see if you get some ideas from that. That's to be a living document too. So anything that you're doing, let us know and we can add it to the list. And next week is going to be good. Renee is the regional grants officer for our area, and she will be telling us about changes to global grants, changes to district grants, and how it's going to be a little different not only this year but also next year. And we'll have a lot more detail on our district grant as to where all it's going, about our disaster response money that we have already contributed, and hopefully we'll have some news about our disaster response application grant. And so hopefully we'll have a lot more information to give to everybody next week about what we're doing with all our money. And I again want to thank everybody. Jennifer, thank you so much. All our special guests, Director Johrita, Director-elect Suzi, all the folks from all my DG classmates, all Rotarians from all over the country and from around the world, and the zone people that were on. There's just too many people to thank, but thank you all so much. But again, especially to our Rotarians in District 5870, you're what makes this work. And thank you all for being here, and hopefully you'll be here again next week. So Patrick, back to you to wrap it up.
Hey,
Thank you.
Patrick,
That was great.
Patrick.
Yes, go ahead.
Real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to Pam Blankensy while we're on here. She's already got the COVID telethon on our district website, guys. So if you need information about it, she's already ahead of the curve and got it up there for us. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Pam. And again, we have some exciting programs in the pipeline. We can't announce yet, but we have some really cool programs ahead. So again, we're meeting every week on Fridays at 4 o'clock Central Time. The Zoom link does not change. We don't share it publicly. That's why we have no security issues, knock on wood. But again, we'd love to see everybody here join us again next week and the weeks ahead. And Jim, you said it perfectly, so I'm not going to say that again, but thank you for everyone joining us today, taking the time out of your day to be with us. Be safe, have a good weekend, go out there and serve the world, and we'll see you next week.
This is always the fun part too. I'm going to unmute everybody. So stick around and say goodbye and say hi. You're all unmuted.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Hi,
Beverly.
everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
All my classmates that I never get to see.
Good, Tom.
Yeah.
Good to see
Hi,
you all.
y'all. Good DG class. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend for everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody stay safe.
We enjoyed
stay
it very
healthy.
much. Thank you.
Jim, don't forget to tell Bill Gates about our telethon.
Great to see you, everyone.
I'll call it personal cell. I think I've got it. I'm not sure.
How are you?
And Melinda's from Dallas. We'll give her a call.
Why is the water on? Thanks for coming on again.
It's there for me to-
Thanks, Beverly.
Bye. Bye.
You taking that somewhere,
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
or you just want to chip?
We're just going around and jumping around, and it's so good to see everybody. Michelle, thank you for coming from Houston. Boy,
I'm glad to be here.
a lot of Houston folks here, and
Thank you,
I know
Patrick.
that Eric
you.
and Sandra
you, sir.
signed on at the last minute, so good to have you there. And Christelle from Honduras, thank you so much. And oh man, this was really great.
Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you. Hope to see you next week.
I will be here. Thank you. Stay safe.
Great.
Bye,
Stay safe,
Patrick.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
So connect with us on Facebook.
I will.
Okay,
Bye. Thank you, Amber. Bye.
thanks.
Clarence, wherever you're driving, I hope you get there safe.
I know, Clarence.
I mean, he started off running down the street. Now he's running like he robbed something. I
He's
don't know.
probably out there making those deliveries again, food
There you
deliveries.
go.
Clarence is all over it.
And
Hey,
you're-
Pam, good job on that
you're
website.
muted, you're muted, Clarence. Get yourself off mute. But don't have a wreck doing it.
How are you, Michelle? I asked you to say hi to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, we have I have our members collecting things for two small nonprofits that have been impacted by the increase in family violence. So every Friday I go and pick them up from them so they don't have to go. They leave them out for me. And then I always hit Sam's and do all these things for a couple of folks that in my neighborhood.
That's awesome.
What a plan, man.
Thank you for that.
I love
Thank you
that,
for
joining the district Zoom meeting while you're in the process of doing a club service project.
Right? I love it.
What better way to do than that, man?
Well, guys, that was a successful meeting. Good job, everybody. I'm going to end our recording.